Welcome to Boxing During Dinner. We're back here at RANDAZZO'S. And if you guys know David, obviously, but if you don't recognize this guy, his name is Ahmed Elbiali. He's a super middleweight, just won his pro debut last week on Telemundo.
Thank you.
I swear I had nothing to do with it getting on the air, but David, I was thinking the other day, and we've almost been doing this for 2 years, believe it or not. Our 2-year anniversary is coming up.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna pass this. It's coming in April, I believe. 2 years of this, but yeah, we've. And
I meant 2-year anniversary of dating.
Oh, well, that's really uncomfortable.
Wait, no.
I hope the microphone didn't pick up what he just said. I'm gonna let him talk about boxing.
Well, we're gonna talk about Ahmed's career and his impressive knockout later in the show. But David, we want to begin with the soap opera that is boxing, because boxing is a soap opera. You know, every week, and anything could change. Apparently, Canelo Alvarez will not be on the Cinco de Mayo card, or Cinco de Mayweather as it's now known, because he couldn't get Mayweather to sign on the contract that he would fight him in September, regardless of what happened against Austin Trout. To me, you know, he's going to get another date, and Canelo's a guy that could sell. Obviously, I think Mayweather needed him on that card, I think, more than he needed Mayweather, believe it or not. Especially to sell to the Mexican audience. But with all the cancellations that have been happening in boxing, with all the Chris Arreola pneumonias and Devin Alexander, and this is just another disappointment of what's been 2013 in boxing.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll get Ahmed's thought on this in a second. But I thought this could have been an incredible card with those two guys. I thought that, you know, Trout versus Canelo, and it still is an amazing fight. It's going to ultimately end up on April 20th, I believe, on HBO now. But that fight is absolutely an incredible fight. Having that with, you know, Mayweather Guerrero.
The only good thing is that it's consolation for HBO.
Right. Well, but that's not even confirmed yet that HBO gets this fight. I think it is.
If
but
they do.
Right. So, you know, it is a major disappointment. The rumor now is that this Mayweather card is going to feature another non-Mexican. All right, let's break for food real quick. So we've got here the classic rigatoni chicken and pasta with vodka sauce. Over here, got a couple of servings of chicken marinated in lemon and spinach, because Ahmed and I are eating healthy, and Alex and Armando have chosen the alternative, which is not healthy, but still pretty tasty.
Yeah, these two guys actually work out. Alex is working out a little bit more, but not at the intensity that you guys do.
Well, Alex isn't
I
alone.
don't work out at all. I used to work out a lot, and now I got tired of it.
Well, notice the difference. Alex and Armando, long-term relationship, married. Ahmed and I don't know if Ahmed's dating somebody.
I'm single.
Yeah, see, we're both single guys, and we're still working on our angles here. So to this.
I still look good though for a married man.
So, anyways, for a married guy, sure. The rumored now addition to this May 4th card is again a non-Mexican. Adrian Broner is possibly going to be added to this card.
And there's rumors, and America can probably confirm, after the fight with Gavin Reese, you know, like he fought probably the shortest featherweight or junior featherweight or lightweight that there is in the game today. I heard he might fight Emmanuel Lewis. Is that confirmed?
No, I heard he might fight Armando Alvarez.
I heard that guy's pretty short.
He is. I find a way to mention it every week. But Ahmed, what are your thoughts now? Apparently, since it is confirmed on the Canelo Trout fight, and you know, Canelo's been saying that he basically wants this guarantee of fighting Mayweather next. Now he's probably not going to get that. Does he even get by Austin Trout? What are your thoughts on that fight?
Austin Trout is a good amateur. He's a great professional. He's a world champion. He's confident. Maybe he doesn't have the charismatic support that, you know, Canelo has, but he's still a very good, tough fighter. But I see him winning by decision. Canelo needs this fight to go on and be the legend that he wants to be. And I see Canelo beating Floyd Mayweather if they do fight, but
bold prediction.
you know,
And you know,
Floyd Mayweather is 37, I think. Yeah,
He just turned 36.
and I respect Ahmed's opinion, because you know before we started, I asked him, aside from boxing, do you follow boxing? And he told me yes. But then as we were talking, he mentioned like Concrete Jungle. I mean, you have to be a diehard fan.
No, I love boxing. I love all sports.
Junkie.
I wake up to ESPN. I go to sleep to ESPN. The TV's on all day.
Sounds like
you know.
Alex and I.
So, but yeah, that will be a great fight. You know, the Canelo Mayweather fight, and this Austin Trout fight is better than Mayweather Guerrero. Like, Guerrero is a great fighter also, but come on, he fought 126 or 122. You know, Mayweather's a little guy, but not that little.
Yeah, and as Ahmed was saying, the factor of Mayweather's age, it's gonna hurt him more. Obviously, a lot more than it's gonna help him at this point. You know, he just turned 36, which I cannot believe. I mean, aside from Larry Merchant, I thought Brian Kenny would be the last guy to be celebrating Mayweather's birthday with him, blowing the candles off a cake. I mean, the only thing better would have been Larry would have been in there too. I mean, you can tell Showtime's, beyond grateful that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is on their side now, and now with HBO. But to Ahmed's point, Canelo against Trout, I think it's gonna be tough to beat Austin Trout, and the fact that they're not gonna be on the same card now, it leads me more to believe the thought that I had before all this came down, that we'd see more than one Canelo against Trout fight. I could very well see a pretty close fight, Trout getting the best of Canelo, but the fight's still going to Canelo because he's the big ticket and there being a rematch. At the same time, I could see the same thing happening with Guerrero and Mayweather. I think Mayweather's, head and shoulders better than Robert Guerrero in their primes. But Guerrero's a pressure fighter. I could see this turning out to be a fight similar to Mayweather Cotto. A guy coming forward, a fight that maybe ends up being 116, 112, 117, 111 on the scorecards. But fans loving the fight because of Guerrero's pressure.
Yeah, I like Guerrero's pressure, but it's just Guerrero, he doesn't have any pop on his punches, so I don't see him hurting Floyd Mayweather. But he will keep it close. He's Mexican. He's Mexican at heart, so he's going to keep coming forward, and Mayweather will keep running. But Mayweather is the best right now. So.
Even though, how impressed were you guys when Guerrero dropped Berto so early in the fight?
Yeah, that was something. But I'm kind of with Ahmed to an extent where I just don't know that Guerrero has the type of pop. Now, granted, I'm not saying he's not a strong guy. He's made 147 pretty convincingly the way that he fought Berto, but I don't think he has the type of power that's going to change the fight at all in his favor at any point.
I will say this. This fight, if I could find a comparison as to legitimize Guerrero's chances in the fight, I'll think back to another guy that was probably one of the best of all time, a dominant fighter, hadn't lost many rounds in his career, and that was Roy Jones Jr. when he faced Antonio Tarver. The first fight was an ugly fight. The second fight, we saw what happened when a fighter, getting up there in age, lost just a little bit of reflex. He got caught. So I'm not predicting this, but who's to say Guerrero doesn't do the same to Mayweather?
Yeah, anything is possible. I think also the comparison to Roy Jones is not entirely fair because Roy Jones strictly relied on his reflexes, whereas Floyd Mayweather actually uses his reflexes to help him defend. Even as he slows a little bit, he's still a phenomenally defensive fighter.
And to his credit, he did show he could fight differently in his fight against Miguel Cotto because he adjusted beautifully in that fight.
I just took a bite of chicken.
And as David's chewing chicken, we do want to get to we do want to get to.
I just want to say one thing about that Roy Jones thing. I was at a tournament in Atlanta actually, and an amateur tournament, and Roy Jones has a gym up in Pensacola or Sarasota.
Pensacola.
All right, so he's training these amateurs, and I talked to them before the fight. They were very confident, very cocky. They're swagging just like Roy Jones, and they haven't even fought yet. So after the fight, two of them lost their fights, and we were talking. I tried to make people feel better. Losing is the worst feeling in the world, and he was telling me. He said, "Damn, I don't have any basics. I tried relying, on Roy Jones Jr.'s teachings, and like you said, Roy Jones depended on his talent, not on his boxing skill. He does have tremendous boxing skill, but his talent was at such a level. It was ridiculous. It was
it was a ridiculous amount of talent, and one of his stablemates that probably got the furthest was Derek Gainer, but I think there'll be many other chances to talk about Derek Gainer. I want to talk about Ahmed Elbiali, who debuted this past Friday on Telemundo. We did show the knockout against Pernell Mitchell, another guy who was debuting. Ahmed was a good amateur, fought in the World Series of boxing, and for the Miami Gallos. One of the best knockouts I've seen, on Boxeo Telemundo in a long time. This kid could hit. I mean, he has raw power, which is it's a good start. It's a good thing to have in.
Smile fool you. He's sweet on the outside, but mean on the inside.
It's a good thing to have in boxing. But up until today, obviously, I didn't get to talk to Ahmed after the fight. I was in the TV truck, but he had an interesting story. You went in there, fighting the hometown favorite.
Yes, he was
not thinking, and no way in hell you get a decision to be able to go all forward.
No, we knew we were gonna win. I had a friend fighting named Angel Martinez also, and he told me, he's like, you better knock this guy out. You better knock this guy out. I don't like going into fights thinking,
we saw what happened to Angel in his fight.
Yeah, so we saw that, but I don't like going into fights, of course, thinking knockout. It's not gonna happen. So, I just told myself, of course, winning is always number one, but I tell myself, if you look good, no one can beat you, and it's true. Like in sparring and fights and my amateur fights, when I look good, when I feel good, no one touches me. I got touched this time, but I looked good, so that's the important part. But yeah, I was the underdog. He was favored to win. He was with the promoters, and I don't think he signed anything with them, but he was the favorite. He was a hometown hero, and I even got a little booze in the beginning. But after I won, the crowd came into my favor a little bit, so it was good.
And I mean, how cool was it that after the fight, you get people coming up to you telling you what a great fight it was, what a great knockout, giving you the credit. And plus, I told you today that Eric Morales, the legend, Eric Morales, who has been on Boxing Dream Dinner, by the way, but Eric Morales is probably one of the best fighters of all time, was at the fight doing a color commentary for Telemundo, and he saw Ahmed's fight, and he liked his raw power, had some criticism, but how cool is it to get criticism from Eric Morales in your pro
cool.
debut?
Very, very, very cool. Yeah, but if I wish I could have, I wish I could talk Spanish. I would have told him, criticize me as much as you want. Let me hear you talk about me. So that was a pleasure. That was amazing, And being on Telemundo and getting televised for those, getting that knockout of the night. Come on, anybody dreams of that. So that's very cool, and my goals are coming to life. So that's good. This is just the beginning of hopefully a prosperous journey. So. I'm very thrilled. I'm very happy. I'm very excited. I'm anxious.
Now we've actually known Ahmed for a while, and one of the perspectives I think is really cool, and Armando would probably agree to an extent, is seeing a guy make this transition, because we meet with a lot of guys who are professional fighters and they're making their careers, but rarely do you get to meet somebody who's at that moment where they're making the transition from the amateur ranks to go professional, and Ahmed has talked a little bit, I think, about some of the anxieties, the nerves that imagine being I think I'd be a little freaked out being the guy traveling to someone else's hometown for my pro debut that I'm supposed to lose and all that, and then he goes into his backyard and knocks the guy out cold in one round. Ahmed, is there anything else that you can really share with us about what you're thinking, that mindset? Like you're in that ride all the way up to Melbourne in Florida. What's going through your head?
Starting I think Sunday of fight week, it really hit me. I was like, wow, it's fight week. Like, this is the time, there's no going back. Especially when weigh-ins came, I'm like, wow, there's no going back now. But I woke up Friday morning feeling very different. Like, if you were to ask me, Angel asked me, the guy that fought, if he would have asked me on Monday, I'm sure you want to get this over with, I would have been like, yeah, I just want to get this over with. The nerves were killing me. But when Friday morning hit, we were eating lunch, and he asked me that. He's like, I'm sure you want to get this over with. I told him, I'm like, you know what? Like, I just can't wait to get this started. Like, this is going to be a long night. Like, I was so excited, I wanted the fight to start and never end. That's how happy I was. Like, so, yeah, like, fight time came, I looked around in the locker room. They had us upstairs. I looked around. I saw everybody was nervous. People were shaking their legs, biting their nails. I'm like, wow, like, why aren't they happy? Why aren't they happy? Go have a good time. So I looked at all the people in the stands. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is my night. Like, I'm gonna do my thing. I know what I came here for. If I win, I'm gonna win. But I'm gonna look good, and I know when I look good, no one can beat me. So I put my song on, French Montana, and
Nice.
so.
That's gangster. I do have to say, it's funny to me that you talked about wanting to make the night last forever. You did a poor job of making that happen by knocking your guy out.
But you know what? I couldn't sleep. I got to Miami around 4 o'clock. I got into bed. Actually, I went to sleep next to my mom. I looked at the ceiling. I had a smile on my face. I couldn't go to sleep, but so it was my night, and my goal came true.
Right, and he did great. It was two knockdowns, a nice left hook, then the right hand knockout. We're actually gonna post it on Boxing During Dinner on our Facebook page for you guys to see. And Ahmed's gonna be a guy that we're gonna have on and on and on, because Alex is already giving us the signal to cut the episode.
We never stay
right?
on time.
We always go over, but Ahmed, it was nice to have you. And as a TV producer who was in the truck, if you would have kept that fight going all night, I would have been pissed, because that means I would have still been in Palm Bay, Florida. I wouldn't have been happy. And we wouldn't be friends. Really quick, I thought Lamar Peterson looked great.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, you're up.
He looked good. He knocked out a good fighter. TKO, right? TKO.
Against Kendall Holt.
Very good fighter. Fast, strong. He's very good.
I really thought Kendall Holt was a live dog in this fight, and he turned out getting just washed by Lamar Peterson from the 4th round on.
And I thought it was a great performance. I actually rubbed it in Daniel Placido's face, because he picked Kendall Holt, but then the next day Ishe Smith won, and I picked K9, so I looked like an ass that night. But until next time on Boxing During Dinner, we're going to get to eating. Ahmed wants some chicken. He deserves it. He's the winner. He won by knockout. And I'm sure he'll be on with us very soon, and he'll be fighting very soon. So you'll see plenty of this guy.